Future Evan here. Just wanted to let you know that there's some audio difficulties in this episode, mostly towards the back half. After all, it's a new podcast. We really appreciate everybody listening, and we hope you enjoy our thoughts on Superman and Forrest Gump. Thanks. Hello and welcome to Back to the Feature with Evan and Gabby. Double feature, double takes, where we talk about two movies, one new, one older, what makes them a good pair, and how the history of films influences the present. I'm Evan.
And I'm Gabby.
And today we are discussing Superman
and Forrest Gump.
You'll believe a man can fly, and you'll believe a boy can run.
That's damn right, Evan. How long you been working about that?
I've been workshopping it. I've been in the shower saying it. I've been whispering, like, is it a boy that can run? Is it a man that can run? But it's a boy.
It's both, technically. But yeah.
But he starts running when he's a boy.
He does, and he never stops. He tells us that early.
This was a really interesting pairing. It kind of came together a little last minute, but I'm excited to talk about how we arrived on that decision. Also, surprise you with some other movies that I was kind of thinking of.
Okay, we're going to start doing honorable mentions.
Yeah.
For movies that we considered, so that everyone can yell at us that we picked the wrong one.
And speaking of the people who yell at us, thank you to the people who are listening. We've gotten a lot of good feedback.
We really appreciate
this is the first episode that we've done post releasing the podcast, so we're recording this after hearing so many nice words from people who have sent us a lot of nice messages.
And not just our families. Thank you so much.
Not just our families.
I love my family.
Actually, I don't think anyone from my family has listened to this podcast.
That's sad. My whole family's watching. Hey gang.
I think I need my family in on this one. But yeah, how was your movie going experience? I got a lot of feedback last time about how things happened at the theater, and I think maybe we should make this a part of our regular chat.
I think so too. I think we need to start noting for anyone who goes to the theaters and anyone who works in these theaters what the feedback is from the general movie going public, because it seems like they don't know. And
because we're there pretty often, even before recording this podcast.
At least weekly.
Yeah. I would say, weekly, if not twice a week.
Yes, if not twice a week. A-list. Sponsor us.
And that's the, there's regions around the world, of course, around the country that, don't have access to like these programs of doing this. But if you do, I highly recommend, signing up for a membership if you can afford it, just because it makes going to the movies easier. It makes it feel like it's free, so to speak, right? You're not paying for each time you go, and it makes maybe you're like, oh, maybe I will get popcorn this time or something.
That's some real girl math you're doing. I really love it.
Is it?
Yes, girl math is like when you pay for something monthly and you're like, it's free.
I think my whole life has been based off girl math.
Mine too. I'm glad that we have a semi-sexist term for it now. Okay, so yes, I'm so glad that you asked about my movie going experience, because I had a pretty garbage experience. Half of it was my fault and half of it was definitely not. So we should mention, speaking of Superman, I was on a plane coming home yesterday. I was flying in the air.
You'll believe like Gabby can fly.
That's correct. Thank you, American Airlines. But American Airlines was also branded to the nines with Superman shit.
Wow.
Like the little tracker that tells you that like how close you are from Vancouver to Los Angeles was Superman.
No way.
And I'm not kidding. Like, they really went all out for this.
This was American Airlines?
American Airlines.
I feel like I need to get on a flight right now because it seems unbelievable. I do not believe that this is a thing.
It's completely real, and I rolled my eyes both times that I experienced it in 3 days. But so I got straight off that plane, barely slept, rolled out of bed this morning, very exhausted, and rolled up to the Glendale AMC at 9 a.m. to see Superman because I'm committed. And I get there, and classic AMC A-lister Los Angeles program problem. Who can't relate? I'm at the wrong theater.
Oh, no.
I had a Burbank ticket and I was in Glendale, and that is my fault.
No.
I relate. That is my problem. So I got there and it would not let me, because I had a Burbank ticket, it wouldn't let me register for a Glendale ticket. So I had to pay full price.
My God.
Thank you, AMC.
Wow.
To see Superman, despite being an A-lister. And they let me in. There was like a 9:50 screening, thank God. And I get there and they're like, throw your coffee away. And I'm like, excuse me, this is a coffee from the Glendale Americana. It was like $9.
Yeah.
I'm not throwing
it away. That's coffee from home. I mean, from their home, not like your home. Yeah.
And
in-house.
And shout out to my guy, Victor, who was like, I'll let you bring it in if you purchase a Superman cup to hide it in. And I did that.
We were just...
I needed coffee. I really needed to be
awake.
I was
just really talking up the girl math hype around signing up for
here it is.
Movie passes, but you just spent so much money.
Yep. Yeah, I spent so much money to preserve the cup of coffee that I bought that was already so much money.
My God.
On top of having to pay for a ticket. And I was, little to say, heated when I got into that theater. I was pretty pissed at myself and AMC. So then I sit down. The movie is just starting.
Okay, yeah.
I've missed all the trailers.
Okay.
And the movie gets about 10 minutes in. Mm-hmm. And then it stops. It stops. The lights go up and trailers come on. And this is a pretty full theater for like 10 a.m. on a fucking Friday. Let me say, there are children who are like, what's going on? And I know, because I'm gonna throw myself under this bus. I worked at an AMC for a short period of time, so I know what's going on.
Yeah.
So I go out and I put my Karen voice on,
uh-huh.
and I'm trying to get my money refunded for this ticket that I had to buy anyway. And they bring out their manager, who is, I want to say, I'm usually pretty good at ages.
Uh-huh.
I want to say he's 20.
Okay. So, younger than us, to
younger
clarify.
Than us.
I know a lot of people out there think I'm pretty young.
Older than me. But but I talked to him, this very nice, reasonable man.
Okay.
Man, in a Superman t-shirt.
Yes, they're all wearing Superman
shirts.
And
I tell him, sir, what is going on with this projector? I'm in theater 17 and it is now playing trailers. And he was like, yeah, we're aware. And I said, okay, great. So you're going to like refund me or give me a comp ticket because this is the only time I can see this movie today, but it might put me back in my schedule, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, well, technically it did start on time. It just was incorrect what was playing. And I said, knowing full well that they do not have projectionists.
Yeah.
I was like, don't you have a projectionist? And he goes, yeah, we do. And I said, no, you don't. I was really pissed. I'm so sorry to this man, but I don't usually shit on customer service people like this. But he deserved it, and he refused to give me a refund.
Or, I mean, like, even just like a half-off voucher or something.
No, refused. I get that's like rough. They get dinged if they do that in their job. I understand he's doing his job. But also, it really put me in a bad mood to see Superman.
It's tough. You know, it's a bad mood. It's hard to go into any movie in a bad mood in general.
It's true.
But on the bright side, do you want to show everyone what your cup does?
Oh my God, yes. They really played this up when I was rolling my eyes about having to pay $14 for it.
You'll believe a cup could fly.
And there is still coffee in it right now. Not from this morning. I got a new one because girl math, it doesn't count.
And for those that, you know, are just listening, the cup has a cape on it.
It Superman is a silicone cape branded with Superman.
You can lift it and it stays in place.
Yes.
So I know I joked about it, but you would believe a cup could fly. So, Riley's shaking his head. All right. So
I came home with this cup and my girlfriend was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And I had to tell this whole story to her. And she was like, you need a job. And I was like, I know. But Evan, did you have a better movie going experience than I did?
Yeah, I guess I would say so. When we decided
the bar is low, but you know.
Yeah, when we decided that we were going to record this on this day, I had to get a second ticket for the movie. I'm seeing it again on Sunday. So apologies to my friend James, who we made plans to see the movie, but now I had to squeeze this in beforehand. So formal apology, James, if you're listening. But I saw this in a new format that AMC is rolling out called XL.
Oh,
it's new-ish.
Exciting.
It basically, I think, is a way for AMC to show close to IMAX size movies, but not that technically
Without
IMAX screens
branding.
or IMAX branding. Yeah, because the screen's supposed to be big. So it's I went to the AMC Burbank 16. It was in theater 8, which is in the center hallway.
That is
those
a big
theaters
screen.
are big.
Big
So, but I don't remember it being. I don't remember it being like off limits or anything, or like under construction.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't know if they were just waiting to like call it XL or something like that. But anyways, so
a little rebrand.
Yeah. So I went to see it in XL. Didn't feel like it was any different. I'll be honest.
Okay.
But it was packed house. Everyone was really excited. As I was walking to the theater, the actual theater screen inside, I was not walking. I was running because I was very late. Beautiful. I was coming straight from work, and I was like, oh my god, I might miss the first few minutes. Running to the theater, I saw a bunch of people standing outside, some of the other theater screens, and I was like, oh my god, look at them, they're so excited for Superman, they're all dressed up, look at those little kids. It was all adult AMC employees.
Oh, no. Okay.
Because they're
all branded.
All the adult AMC employees all had a blue Superman shirt, which is fine, right? Like movies do that for the theater
branding
workers, but they like capes too.
Oh my god, you're now putting a sense memory in my head that I chose to ignore at the moment that I was yelling at this manager, but he had a cape on.
He had a cape on.
He definitely had the cape on, and I was like, this is going to be so much easier to yell at you because you look crazy.
Yeah. I mean, because the other thing, too, with the cape is like, I watched someone put the cape on outside to take a picture, and then I saw that he was in my theater because he came in with the cape, decided to take the cape off while standing in the dark as the last things were playing. I was like, at this point, if you're gonna wear the cape, wear the whole thing. You walked inside with it.
Commit to the bit.
Anyways, but it was nice to see it. There was some really interesting crowd reactions to certain moments, which we'll get into as we kind of talk about the movie. So before we get into Superman, a little bit of a change this time. We're going to try to save spoilers for a certain section.
Yes.
So if you're interested in listening, please listen along. We'll clearly mark when we're going to do spoilers. But yeah, this is Superman by James Gunn, 2025 Superman. This is a really important film for Warner Brothers as they kind of usher in a new era of DC Studios.
Huge deal for them.
Written and directed by James Gunn, right? Co-head of DC Studios. Not to be confused with the DCEU Snyderverse, right?
No, which is dead to us now, and I'm sure that everyone on the internet is going to be super normal about.
Yeah, it's I'm curious to see what the larger fan reaction to this movie will be.
Superman, as you mentioned, written and directed by James Gunn, produced by Gunn and Peter Safran, starring David Corenswet as Superman, Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane, and Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor. Alongside them are Eddie Gathegi, Anthony Carrigan, Nathan Fillion, and Isabella Merced.
We should, note that Gunn, again, he is the co-head of DC Studios with producer Peter Safran.
Correct.
They've both been working comic book worlds forever. Peter Safran was at Warner Brothers, is still at Warner Brothers. He's been there for a long time during the Snyderverse. James Gunn was, of course, the Marvel films, Guardians of the Galaxy.
A key member of the MCU filmmakers.
Before then going to do The Suicide Squad, and then now he's the head of the studio, co-head of the studio.
He wrote and directed, in case people don't know, all 3 Guardians of the Galaxy movies for Marvel. And before that, he dabbled in the superhero genre on his own before being formally adopted by Marvel or DC with 2000's The Specials and 2010's Super.
So, that brings us to the question. How'd you feel about Superman?
I'm not going to lie, I was really nervous about this movie for not super rational reasons. I think it was a lot to do with the press junket around this movie, in which Gunn has been calling it very political, and he's been calling it an immigrant story, and all of those things kind of primed me for a certain kind of saccharine, very soaked in current events feature. And I was, quite honestly just like, I don't know if I want that in a Superman movie. And I think a lot of people are having that reaction. I was pleasantly surprised by how it handled these things. Yeah, me too. It was both more and less political than I thought it was going to be, but it handled these things more deftly than I would have believed based on the marketing for the movie. But I should mention, I have some sentimental attachment to Superman because he is the only superhero that my dad introduced me to. That's his number one guy. And I've seen all of the Christopher Reeve movies. I grew up on Smallville, so I'm very familiar with the Superman Clark Kent origin story. And I must say how relieved I am that this film did not take us into the Superman origin story.
Yeah, it's something that Gunn has been very public about in the press. He's like, there's 3 things we don't need to see in superhero movies ever again: Superman origin story, Batman origin story, Spider-Man origin story. So we don't need to see it again because we all know it. Obviously, there's a new generation of kids growing up with these things, but even still, I think like the way we're dropped into the world was handled really well. It was in a title card, but also I think if you were a kid, you kind of can get you get to understand who this person is, and you get to see them in a very interesting point in their life.
You're smack in the process of the Superman story.
Yeah.
And I think that that's really smart. I think that that's smart screenwriting in handling just not showing us too much, not telling us too much, even in those title cards.
Yeah.
I think that it just jumps right in, and it jumps into a moment that we haven't really seen from a Superman movie, which is Superman losing. He lost a fight. And I thought that was really interesting. What followed was not as interesting to me, which was the Fortress of Solitude robot shenanigans.
Yeah.
That felt very James Gunn to me, and he's allowed to have that.
Well, I guess just to backtrack a little bit, I don't have any relationship with Superman. I actually, growing up, did not care about Superman at all. I just knew he was a character in like the way that most people know superheroes are characters that exist. And I was like, oh, okay, he's red and blue, and that's cool. And I didn't watch any movies, didn't watch any TV shows. It wasn't very, it just wasn't something about it. Never really clicked with me. So I'm not very familiar with Superman as a character. However, over the last couple of years, kind of, working adjacent to like the comic industry in a sense, and like starting to dive into it a little bit more, it's been really interesting to familiarize myself with the characters and their relationship within the larger world.
Right. There's a lot more baggage now.
Yes. I read the comic All-Star Superman that this movie was inspired by a couple weeks ago.
He did his homework.
Yeah. Well, part of it. The dog ain't the rest.
Was it crypto?
Yeah, it was crypto. I mean, that was some real hack stuff right there. We'll leave it. I'm not cutting it. We'll leave it in. But
leave it in.
Anyways,
but that's good. So you're coming in clean,
but also nice to see. A lot of what I think James Gunn has talked about with this movie is like the human aspects of Superman and how and framing those elements in a new and interesting way. And I think that movie does succeed in that goal. Maybe not A+, but like certainly like a B+ at the very least.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that the humanizing of Superman and how this movie handles Superman as a character and his infallibility is very smart and very unexpected.
Yeah,
making Superman kind of a loser.
Yeah,
I didn't see it coming, but I really welcome it.
Yeah, and also helps like split that dichotomy of like the Clark Kent and Superman personas, right? And like why people can't tell them apart or whatever. Even and the movie does like poke fun at it, and really, I thought was like successful ways.
Yes, I thought so.
And this is not a spoiler, but there's a fight that Lois and Clark. Or very Clark as Superman have early on in the movie. It's been in the trailers where Lois Lane interviews Superman.
Right, because Superman or Clark Kent has been interviewing himself as Superman, which Lois correctly points out is bad journalism, unethical.
Yeah. But I really, really like that scene because I think it frames Superman's crisis currently so well, right? Where he is like, well, why can't I stand up for the things that I believe are good?
Right, which is humanity, and which the movie is very explicit about. Superman is very clear about, I don't need to follow these treaties. Like, all of these things are in place to kind of prevent me from doing my job, and people are going to die. And my job is to save people, save humanity in this way.
And he, and not only does he believe that because of how he was raised, but also like the message that was left with his parents, the Fortress of Solitude. There's I really loved, I know you were talking about the robot shenanigans, but as the robots are kind of like healing him, they bring him to get the sun injected into him. Yeah. That again has
and
been
boy did that sound effect rock the Dolby room that I was in. I was vibrating.
That scene's been in the trailers, of course, but something that they cut out is this monologue of Jor-El and Superman's Kryptonian mother and father and mother speaking to him in Kryptonian. And I loved as he's, the robots are saying the English translation of it. Yes. And he, Clark Kent, Superman, is saying it to himself as well. It's like a mantra. It's a prayer. It was very, very powerful. The score in this movie, incredible.
Love the score.
The way they revisited and remixed the score of the Christopher Reeve movie, just really, really
very sentimental without stuff. Being overly syrupy, gooey.
It really got me in that moment. I started tearing up in the beginning. I was like, oh my god, I might be.
You
this might be
this
it.
Early?
Yeah, this early.
Oh
I was like, what is this? Up?
Okay. Well, I mean,
I'm certainly going up and away.
Up and away, soaring to Metropolis, which is where we start this movie. I think Metropolis looks pretty great.
Yeah,
it looks like a real city, which I can't say about all superhero projects.
Yeah.
It looks real.
Everything felt very tactile, very physical. A very few moments across the board in this film felt like too CGI sloppy, and even the CGI slop,
it gets a little James Gunn at certain points.
But I think they do a good job. Personally, I feel like they do a good job of of melding the two, calling less attention to it, because it's like we're either fully in or fully out, right? Yeah,
I agree. And I want to shout out, going off of that Lois moment that you mentioned, Lois Lane is a real character in this movie, great. Which I really appreciate.
Yeah.
She's usually kind of portrayed as in the dark about Superman. And I guess this is a light spoiler, but it is also kind of in the trailers implied that she already knows that Clark is Superman. And, I think that was a really smart choice, again, screenwriting wise, just to
get a lot of that stuff out of the way, right?
Get the exposition machine out of the way, and also just to give that character more agency, which she has historically not had. I think that's really important and really impressive, and really lends something to Rachel Brosnahan's performance.
Yeah, and also she's a terrific performer. She's so good. I mean, honestly, most of the cast I think are doing a great job of just bringing you in, committing to the specific pitch that James Gunn has set for this movie, and committing to the character and selling it. I mean, the third person we kind of have to talk about here too, right? Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor. I loved when he leans into the more maniacal sections where he's starting to be like, oh man, when he gets excited and over these really stupid things, but you're
so dumb, but you feel it for him.
You feel it, yeah. He's so committed.
Yeah. I mean, I will give it to Gunn here. I think that he is tremendous at casting his films.
Yeah.
I think that he is really good at choosing the right actors for his tone specifically. And I think that in a way that his tone of movies has not worked for me in the past, it really worked here. And I think that it's because James Gunn can lean a little bit cornball, a little cheeseball, a little found family kind of stuff. We see that with Guardians and even in the Suicide Squad. But I think that it really works here because Superman is a cheeseball. He's a cornball. He's a kid from Kansas that just has, pie in the sky, America mentality. And I think that it really works here in a way that I wasn't expecting it to.
Yeah, and I love the way that kind of sentiment, David Corn Sweat plays that sentiment across both characters, both personas.
David Corn Sweat is a relative newcomer, I want to say, to at least a movie this large.
Yeah.
He will always be the hot projectionist in Pearl to me. That is where I know him best.
Yeah.
But I thought, I didn't have a lot of feelings about him when he was cast, maybe because I had only seen him in a couple of things. But I think that he really takes the cape and runs with it here.
Yeah. I think
he does a great job.
And that's the perfect thing, right? You want to find someone exactly in that zone who's a seasoned enough performer that they're excited to take on a role like this, that they're willing to spend the time, and also is unknown because you don't have the previous baggage of anything,
of another
right?
character.
It's really hard, I think, for me now to watch any Scarlett Johansson movie that's not a pure indie, because it just feels I don't know, this is fine.
You're ScarJo, you're Black Widow. Yeah.
So, but before we get into kind of spoiler territory, I just want to ask, how did you feel about how this movie set up the DCU? Or do you think, does this movie suffer from like a Marvel MCU connectivity problem?
I'm so glad that you asked. I think that for my full answer, we will have to get into spoiler territory. Okay. So let's give the spoiler warning right now. If you don't want to hear any more about the plot details or machinations of Superman, come back after you've seen the film. We welcome you.
Yeah.
Okay, spoilers. So it sets it up in a way that I find really annoying, but also have grown accustomed to just by being a moviegoer over the past 15 years of these movies, where I think just the multiple endings thing that it sets up.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
I'm a big fan of movies that just end. I like a movie with an ending. And these movies, specifically superhero movies that are branching off into a wider universe, always have like 5 ending scenes.
Yeah.
And it's always to set up another movie, and I find that really annoying. So I'm not sure, to answer your question, how I feel about the projects that it is setting up. I think that it's setting up something which is Supergirl.
Millie Alcock, let's go. Listen, I have the exact opposite reaction.
Okay, an actor that I'm very fond of. I think she's a great actor, but I don't know how I feel about this scene.
No, the scene was really odd.
It felt random. It felt off. It felt like I don't know what the tone is or what the story they're setting up. It felt kind of like she was on set for 6 hours and they were like, act a little drunk and a little goofy.
So
and I don't know what her story is going to be. I don't know if that is going to be more of a proper origin story, because I don't personally, somebody who is familiar with Superman lore, I'm not really familiar with Supergirl. I don't know her backstory. I know that she is Superman's cousin, but I don't know like how or why or how she was sent to Earth. Like, don't know.
So people who have, been watching me on the internet for a little bit know that I'm a big fan of the comic that the upcoming movie is based off of. The movie is called Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, which is the same exact name as the comic. The comic is a really, really interesting story that not only dives into like a current Supergirl adventure, but also looks back at her, like some origin stuff, pairing her with kind of like a, audience surrogate character who's on a mission. It
Look
is
at you. Crypto did not eat your homework. You know this.
And also I was very because I was wondering, I was like, well, how closely aligned is the comic and the movie going to be? Like, if Crypto's on Earth, how is he going to be with Supergirl? Because he plays a pretty important part in the comic. Right. And I love that we got that answer for the people that knew. But I also was sitting there as a fan of movies being like, thinking the same thing as you, where I was like, I don't know why the tone of it was odd and blah blah blah, and if you don't know where it's going, it's really tough to understand what she was doing.
See, so you understand where it's going, so maybe you had a little more leniency for it, but I was a little bit put off because I don't know where it's going.
Well, I can't remember. Does he says that she likes to party, right? But does he say why she's partying?
Nope.
It's her birthday.
Mystery. It's her birthday.
Yeah, it's her birthday.
Happy birthday.
I'm like getting chills just thinking about the comic right now. I love it so much. The art is beautiful. The storytelling is great. I highly recommend you read it.
I will. I will do my homework.
It's a much better I mean, like, reading All-Star Superman and then watching this was not something I felt like was actually necessary. Though it did provide some framing for certain things. But I'm very excited for that. I thought that the little details that it started placing throughout the movie, Maxwell Lord, the Justice Gang, everything felt like decent setups without like really rubbing it in your face. The only one was the end that kind of
the one that rubbed me wrong was the end. I don't know who Maxwell Lord is, but I recognize the actor as Sean Gunn, James Gunn's brother. Good for him. Get that check.
Yeah.
But
hire your family.
Hire your family. Nepotism. Hire your friends. Nepotism sometimes good. But the Justice Gang, I'm glad you brought them up. The Justice Gang plays a pivotal role in this movie. As we get further into spoilers, they are kind of alongside Superman for the ride of this film. They are metahumans. Am I getting that right?
Yeah.
And they are funded by some kind of private equity to, save the day when Superman is not available.
Yeah.
Convenient. But I found them very annoying.
Yeah, I was really surprised that was the kind of lane they took, but it made sense once once you realize that it was a Guy Gardner Green Lantern, famously one of the worst Green Lanterns.
Is he now? That makes a lot of sense.
He's annoying and he's a brat. I mean, I'm really excited that we have the Lanterns TV show starring Kyle Chandler and Aaron Pierre of Rebel Ridge. That's those guys as Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart respectively is going to be really, really exciting. But yeah, I was surprised that Hawkgirl was that way because I'm not as familiar with her character, but I know she's had a lot of different origin stories. But the Mr. Terrific stuff was really fun, like him kind of just being like true neutral.
I liked Mr. Terrific. I'm not familiar with that character at all, but I thought that he fit the story the best out of those three.
I was so bummed during the fun sequence.
Oh my god, I wanted that to be longer.
I thought the action was great. I just didn't want that song choice. I thought it was too like James Gunny.
It's James Gunn.
Yeah.
But he's known for the soundtracks of his movies.
I know, but I don't know. Like
I feel like it's one of those things that going into a James Gunn movie you have to expect.
I mean, Matt, who's cutting the show right now, he was saying before that Guardians 3 was heat, according to him. I was not a big fan of that movie. However, that action scene at the end with the fake oneer is awesome. To me, that's sick. And I wanted like music. I don't know. I thought I get what he was doing, and I was just like, I don't need it. I don't know.
I just wanted the sequence to be longer. I thought that like we could have gone a little bit more. Could have given Mr. Terrific a little bit more to do, a little more action other than just hacking into the Lex Luthor bots.
Yeah.
We should talk more about Lex Luthor.
Okay.
Because he is a focal point of this movie. I feel like we've talked about him the least. But they Elon Musk him.
Yeah.
And I think it works and it doesn't work because the audience is like too familiar with Elon Musk now. But I think that the comic bookification of him does work. The comic bookification of that character and making him larger than life does work. I didn't think that making him like a straight businessman in previous iterations really worked. But making him this kind of like very online man baby who has all the access to this money and tech and who thinks that can bring down, an alien threat did work.
Yeah. I liked it seems like for the people who are really concerned about like the universe stuff about this, the fact that it's called Lutho Corp and not Lex Corp is really interesting. That this feels like it's going to set itself differently than not try to proclaim it might be the main universe or something. Saying like this is a universe that's going to be different, but filled with characters right? And that's a great
Let's get into that because in this movie, Lex has created pocket universes, pocket dimensions. Do we think that will come into play in the future?
Yeah, I think so. I think they're gonna like be having seen how Marvel kind of like screwed it up a little bit. They'll probably be very sparing in how they use it because once you kind of open the faucet, it just keeps going. So I think
much multiverse.
Yeah, if they have like a multiverse thing, it'll probably be like one and done. Like a character comes in and then stays in forever and can't go back, and it makes peace with staying or something along those lines. But I wouldn't put it past them to at least have that. I mean, also the idea already exists, right? Robert Pattinson, the Batman, it's a DC Elseworlds project. It's kind of like a multiverse thing already.
That's true.
But you can't imagine Robert Pattinson Batman and David Cornsweet
No,
Superman.
They don't exist together.
So you can't imagine them interacting at all.
But this movie does, I don't know if you caught it, but this movie does have a sign in it that says Gotham City.
Oh, I missed that
there's
one.
like a freeway sign or something in the scene where the metropolis is splitting in half, where a woman is stuck in her car and she's driving off this bridge and you see like Gotham City next left or something. And I'm like, okay, he's setting it up. But see, that's the kind of universe setting up that I like. Yeah, I like something subtle. I like that you can go back and see it and it's always been there, but it hasn't been like, hit over the head to the audience that this is coming.
Exactly. Very hidden detail kind of thing. Very missable.
Right.
Riley shaking his head. Actually, in that vein, let's talk about one of the biggest things to me that I was very surprised about was the message from his parents.
Yes.
Was the message was damaged in transit, and as if
which they make sure to mention times.
Multiple times.
7 times at least.
If you've seen the movie, Lex Luthor is able to recover somehow the message with the help of the engineer, who we haven't talked about, but the engineer,
we don't need to talk about her.
She recovers it.
She didn't work for me.
And it turns out that his parents, one of whom is played by Bradley Cooper jumps, big jump scare.
Yep.
Big jump scare.
Known James Gunn collaborator and known cameo slut, Bradley Cooper.
Oh, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. How about season 4, The Righteous Gemstones? He gets an entire episode, and it's just like, he's there.
I haven't seen season 4
yet. You should. It's a great episode. Great show.
But the message is that they have sent Kal-El here to Earth to rule Earth.
And this is directly in contradiction with what Superman has been standing for of his entire film. So when he learns this, he is
the world learns it too.
He learns it alongside the world, and he is rightfully shaken. He is very upset, and this is not how he was, what he believed that he was sent to Earth to do, and it's not how his Earth parents, Ma and Pa Kent, raised him. It's not who he believes himself to be.
So he's a real crisis of faith, real identity crisis as well, just like not knowing what guides him.
Right.
And we kind of get this moment, where he is with Lois, and they're kind of talking about the different ways they approach the world. And she's like, how do you do that? How do you act like you act like everyone you've met is the most beautiful person you've ever met, and beautiful and like not physical attractive,
right?
But
just every human has a magic soul. And
they kind of talk about that hope and that optimism, and they're talking about music and punk rock music, and he says, and she's like, well, how do you do that? And he goes, well, maybe that's the real punk rock.
And I laughed.
Did other people laugh?
Other people did laugh, yeah.
Yeah.
I like you were saying earlier before we were recording, I don't think James Gunn wants us to laugh at that moment, but there were some laughs.
There was some, because I felt...
It works both ways.
I think it works, because I think it is funny. I don't know, like it's intended to be like, haha, funny. It's funny that he thinks that, right? But it is also like, you're like, wow, yeah, like, the world is like a really like shit place, honestly. Yeah. And the movie has, kind of delved, we talked about the political stories about that. The movie delves and like, kind of like touches on real geopolitical problems.
It's impossible not to think about recent issues when watching this movie. And I think that's done very purposefully.
Yeah.
I also think that that's another Lois Lane factor that we get, which is her being so in touch with those issues on a journalistic capacity and just on a factual capacity that she is pulling Clark, Superman, back down to Earth in a way that maybe his optimism doesn't let him do. Yeah. And I think that that's a very smart use of that character, not necessarily to be nihilistic or to be too pessimistic, but just to be, I think she puts it as, I'm always questioning everyone. Yeah. And I think that that's okay. And that's like a real character trait to give her.
But when he does get to say, well, that's the real punk rock, it allows him to express that, and you understand where he's coming from in that moment. And
absolutely.
When he said that, a woman behind, there were a few chuckles in the crowd, and then a woman behind me goes, oh, what the heck?
She's right.
It was pretty funny. But I'm excited to watch that moment again when I see it in theaters for a second time.
It's true. I will say that, as we get into the end of this movie, I want to say that, the geopolitical stuff was not as hard hitting as I thought it was going to be, that I was concerned
as much
about.
As it was kind of dressed up in the press. Right.
Which I think really works in the movie's favor. I think that there will...
Superman's flying outside. Superman's
outside. Sorry. I think that, as usual, there will be a lot of piss babies on the internet that are like, fuck Superman, it got too political. But no, it's really lighter than I thought. But I think it works. What I thought worked the best about this movie, though, was kind of the Lois and Clark moments.
Yeah, should have been more.
Should have been more. There should have been more of them in this movie, and more, frankly, more of Superman in this movie. I thought for a movie called Superman, we got a lot of Justice Gang, we got a lot of Crypto,
and part of it's just like the pacing just moves so fast. The movie moves really fast.
I like that this movie is not 3 hours. Thank you.
Yeah, that's true. But I think in that time, you feel like you're being whipped around Metropolis, you know, and all these different characters that you don't get those moments to kind of really dig in. That's why those moments where it does take the time, like the beginning, the scenes that he has with his Earth parents.
Right.
To me, really that and Lois, they stand out because of how much time they spend there. And I don't know. That's why they affected me. I was like, wow, I get it.
Exactly. And then after those moments, we proceed to get into these, as is expected now, Act 3 CGI fight
set
slop.
Pieces,
and I didn't enjoy this as much.
Yeah.
This is a very heavy spoiler, but we learned that the avatar that Lex has been using throughout the movie to fight Ultraman is in fact a clone of Superman. And that is how they got access to the Fortress of Solitude with his DNA. And it's just like, he rips off his mask and it's like David Cornsweet but with a bad wig.
I wanted it to be Henry Cavill so bad.
Oh.
Do you know how crazy the crowd would have gone if that was the case? If Henry Cavill wasn't like upset that the rug got pulled under him for the Superman thing.
Hey, you could blame The Rock for that. You blame Dwayne The Rock Johnson for that.
Yeah.
But
imagine if it had been him or Brandon Routh, just like anyone who had played Superman in the past 10, 15 years.
They did a Homelander with it.
Yeah.
And I thought that it was smart, but also predictable and also kind of cheesy, but it worked. And, you know, I think it was better for him to be at least fighting someone physically in the end rather than like another weird CGI dinosaur like he fights in the middle of the movie. That was not, I was not a fan of that.
Yeah. I like the fight when he finally defeats Ultraman and he has to take care of the Raptors. I thought that was pretty fun.
That was pretty cool. But
and then the scene last thing, the scene at the end where it's crazy that it's been in the trailers. That last scene where he's kissing Lois Lane and they're floating in the thing. I hate that works for me.
I hate that it works. Well. Do you know how I'm gonna get really emo right now? But that's when I teared up.
Yeah.
And it should not work for me that way. Like I had forgotten all about my bad AMC experience in that moment. And I was just like,
Victor left your mind.
Know what? I was having straight girl feelings. I was like, I want David Cornsweet to pick me up and spin me around and kiss me in the air. I do.
And then Wendell Pierce just goes, how long have they been hooking up?
Way more than 3 months. Way more. But yes, I want to, as we wrap up here, we know that this is a very optimistic, very positive spin on Superman going forward and him as a hero. This movie goes through great lengths and I think successful lengths to humanize him and make him the people's hero.
Yeah.
Not just some infallible alien. So what do you think, Evan, makes a hero as we transition into our next movie?
Oh, I mean, you know, someone I think who like stands up for things that they believe are right. Right.
At all costs.
At all costs, yeah.
Even at a detriment to their own reputation, even at a detriment to their personal life, for the good of humanity.
Yeah.
And is that Forrest Gump?
So we really debated for a long time. Before the movie, we were talking about, well, what should we pair this with? We were kind of going off things we had heard in the press. And Gabby said Forrest Gump. And I was like, I resisted it for a long time. And I think the reason I resisted it was because I thought it was too perfect, having not seen the movie. And I was like, I can't believe Gabby got it. Gabby's 3 for 3 on these pairings right now. I got none on the board. I need one on the board.
Listen, I'm a film sister, you know, like we need more representation. Like,
that's true.
It's usually the film bros jumping out being like, why didn't you pair this with Citizen Kane? I'm like, fuck Citizen Kane.
Yeah. I don't need no rosebuds.
It's fine. It's a good movie. It's fine. But, yes. So I was again going off things in the press, but also just going off of the real emphasis on this being a positivity driven film and being a lighter fare film and being somewhat political. And I was like, what movie does this remind me of?
Yeah.
About, a troubled white man who just wants to...
Hey, he's an alien. He's an alien.
He's an alien. But is Forrest Gump? No. He's an ordinary man. A below average ordinary man, as the movie tells you many times.
Many times.
But I think that what makes this a really good pairing is that Superman is being humanized as an alien, but Forrest Gump throughout the movie is being repeatedly asked to be superhuman as a human being, or being portrayed to us as somebody who has either impeccable timing or just like superhuman capabilities in some respect.
Yeah.
But that movie is also about humanity in a very saccharine boomer way, but you know.
Yeah, true.
But it worked. It was a tremendous success. And I think Superman will also be a tremendous success in the end. So, Evan, would you like to toss to our sponsors before we dive into Forrest Gump?
Yeah.
That's a trick question.
Okay.
Why is it a trick question, Evan?
Because there's someone outside on a motorcycle.
There is somebody outside on a motorcycle, but that is not our sponsor.
Yeah. So again, this is our little break where we thank you all for listening. Of course, thank you for supporting us. Leave a review on Apple Podcasts. Leave a comment on Spotify if you can.
Smash that like button.
Smash
those 5 stars.
Subscribe on YouTube. Go to Letterboxd.
Follow us on Letterboxd.
We have all the we do a little like voiceover credits at the end, but thank you Matt, thank you Riley, thank you to my brother for lending me his song for the intro and the outro
music.
I think it's called March 17th Sick or something like that. There's some real good vibes there.
Love that.
But yeah, let us again get in touch. Let us know what you think we should cover. There's a lot. Obviously, we're talking a bunch of movies this summer coming up. We'll talk about those exact titles, but you can use your imagination and send us some pairings. If you're
following those release calendars the way that we are, you can guess what's coming up.
And I'm going to be very scared for a lot of them.
But we're going together, and that's why we started this pod.
Okay, be right back.
We'll be back. Cut. And we're back.
We're back. This is definitely the first time we've said those exact words.
Yes, absolutely. And we are back to talk about a very unlikely hero. Not a Superman. How would you describe Forrest Gump, Evan?
A man that is super.
In
some areas.
He has flawless timing.
Yeah.
His ability to be in certain places at certain times, unrivaled, unparalleled. Not even Superman could time out being in like the exact right moment when JFK needs to shake your hand.
Yeah. He couldn't even he wasn't even there for a jar and pour.
I think Forrest could have ran to jar and pour.
Yeah.
You don't think he could have ran all the way?
And fought who would Forrest Gump's Ultraman be? What would he be called? Acre Gump?
Yeah, Acre Gump.
Because that's the natural next step.
Oh my god.
It's so bad. Anyways,
speaking of Forrest, I would like to get on record that I had not seen this movie in about 10 years.
Yeah, I would
It's
say
been a while.
I would say for me it's been closer to like 15 or so, I think.
Oh wow.
It's been a long time.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I've seen clips of it here and there, but I have not sat through the whole thing until today.
Well,
and boy, was I in for a treat. Boy, did I forget or purposefully block out a lot of this movie.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you feel like you had a particularly strong connection with this movie growing up? Was this a movie that was part of your life? I feel like that, yeah. For me, it's the same exact thing. But where I grew up in New Jersey, it felt like everybody knew Forrest Gump. Everybody had seen it. Felt like very like super iconic.
The references were always in my life.
That's true.
Like, I always knew Run Forrest Run. Like I knew Life is Like a Box of Chocolates. I knew all those things.
Bubba Gump at the theme parks.
Shrimp. But yeah, I had not actually seen the movie until I was in college. But it is a very important, quote unquote, movie to history. This film is directed by Robert Zemeckis and written by Eric Roth. It stars Tom Hanks, Robin Wright, Gary Sinise, and Sally Field. The film was a massive success when it came out. $678 million at the box office. Winner of Best Picture, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Director, Best Editing, Best Visual Effects. and a back-to-back Best Actor win for Tom Hanks, who won the previous year for Philadelphia.
Wow. Do we think Superman gets any of those awards or accolades?
Maybe visual effect.
Yeah.
Will it win? No. Will it be nominated? Sure. Suicide Squad won Best Makeup like years ago, and everyone was like, "What the fuck?" But
I forgot about that. I will say, I think a fun thing that we can add on to this podcast is whether or not the new movie will make more than the old movie at the box office. Especially right now, we're in this blockbuster summer and things like that.
Big blockbuster.
Do we think Superman in its theatrical run will make more than $678 million? We can probably go and adjust the number for inflation after the fact, but what do you think? $678 million at the box office. Superman will likely be in theaters for a long time, I imagine. I don't think it's going to flop out.
I think that adjusted for inflation, 678
is like
million
1.1 billion.
It's over a bill.
Yeah.
I don't see this Superman making over $1 billion. But it could.
I think 500 million.
I think it could get to 600.
I don't even remember the opening. Yeah, global. I don't remember the opening box office number right off the top of my head.
Well, as of recording, there is no box office.
Oh my God.
We are recording the day of release.
That's right. It feels like a million miles away.
It's tracking at about 110 mil.
Opening weekend, pretty good.
Strong.
Yeah,
pretty strong. But this film was massive at the time of its release, as mentioned. And it was the best Picture winner the year that I was born, which kind of sucks.
Wow. Really?
I mean, it's just like a weird trivia fact, you know?
Yeah.
But I don't know. This movie is a little chaotic. It's very saccharine in a way that I was afraid that Superman was going to be. Mm-hmm. Very sappy, very sentimental.
Yeah. It's kind of his lane, though.
It is.
That's kind of his thing. Like, I saw Here last year. Did you watch Here?
Oh my God, yes, I saw Here.
Better, more schlocky or less schlocky than Here?
Is Superman or is
no. Forrest Gump.
More.
Forrest Gump is more than Here. You think?
I think so.
I guess maybe the time spanning sentimentality.
Yes. Here has like an anchor point, like a gimmick that kind of.
Well, there's a gimmick here.
There is a gimmick, but
no pun intended.
The gimmick in Here kind of distracted me a little more than it is in Gump. But I think Gump is just it has grown in the culture kind of, and especially in movie culture, as an example of maybe not a Best Picture winner for the moment, but not the one that goes down in history.
Yeah.
Notably, it was released the same year as Pulp Fiction. A movie that I don't like.
But I think it's had even more of an impact on culture at large, right? The amount of Pulp Fiction,
you
like
cannot
ripoffs.
Deny the impact that it's had on film culture, on movies to this day. I don't think that Forrest Gump has had that same impact, but as we mentioned, it's in the culture. It's part of, Yeah.
I mean, I guess we did grow up saying "Run, Forrest, run," and not.
Yeah. Even if we didn't really know what it was, but. God, I'm really glad I didn't see this movie as a kid, though, because this movie is kind of fucked up.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot.
I was revisiting it. I was surprised at like how much sex there was in it, and like the abusive sex work.
The Jenny stuff is really tough in this movie, and you don't pick up on it.
Yeah.
If you watch it at a young age, you're not picking up on it because you're kind of in Forrest's point of view the whole time.
Yeah.
But hey, that is a good segue into where we first get Forrest's heroics in this movie. Mm-hmm. He meets Jenny, and it's his best friend. She's the only person that connects him, that's is willing to see past, the movie tells us that he has low IQ, that he needs braces on his legs, that he's a little more, he's not your average kid.
Yeah.
And this is his only friend, and he feels so protective of her because that is his link to humanity. Mm-hmm. His link to feeling like a person is Jenny, and his mother to a lesser extent. But yeah, I think that the first time we see him really being a quote unquote hero is when he is trying to defend Jenny.
Yeah, 100%. And then there's this that also leads into a really interesting part of the movie where, we find out more about Jenny's home life, that she's getting abused by her father. Some incredibly heavy stuff. I think the movie handles that actual moment, like
pretty well.
Like it doesn't show you anything, but really hammers home. Like, and then the as a kid being ignorant, and even as an adult not fully understanding, like Forrest as an adult not knowing what it is. So you feel like you're like, oh my God, does he not? And then it starts setting off this extra element of it, of these like random acts of nature almost that kind of like happen around him, like these kind of acts of God in a sense. Like he refers to one of them later, right, as it like God did come, like these things that do happen.
Take Jenny away from this house. Or something. But yes, and as opposed to Superman, who is everything is revolving around him and happening because of him in Superman. All of these acts, especially in this most recent Superman, Lex Luthor admits to like orchestrating acts to get Superman to be in one place at one time. Yeah. So, it's all revolving around him, whereas Forrest Gump really is kind of the opposite, but in a similar hero building way.
Yeah, He's always doing what he feels is best in the moment, which is usually, he spends his life like protecting Jenny from, like lots of terrible things, lots of abusers,
rapists.
And then also, it's like you have that heartbreaking moment where he's going back into the combat zone to find Bubba, his what's the exact phrase? His good best friend.
His best friend.
And then but he saves the rest of his platoon and Lieutenant Dan, and he doesn't get to see the movie doesn't spend time with it, but there is you can't help but think, well, what if he had found him first, right?
You feel Forrest's impact throughout the movie, which I think is something that makes a good hero film.
Yeah.
And feeling the impact of the hero character, whether or not they are super or just a good person, I think is something that distinguishes these movies from your typical hero's journey arcs.
Yeah. They're both kind of like paragons of good, but in slightly different ways.
Yeah.
Also, we didn't really talk about Crypto when we talked about Superman. I'm petting, Matt's cat, Ponzu here. Crypto, he's in the background right now. It's pretty good part of the movie. Pretty fun.
Yeah. Do you think Forrest Gump should have had a dog?
Yeah.
Instead of a son? I don't know about that one.
Instead of a son. Yeah.
He could have been a dink. He could have been double income, no children with Jenny. But I think, what stood out to me this time watching it was how happenstance all of Forrest's acts of heroism are.
Yeah, just that idea again, right? We mentioned it earlier, just like right place, or just the knack of being in the right place. But then it also like is interesting how that is like the big like thing about this movie that people talk about, right? Like, oh, they put him in all these events and things like that. But then it's like, is that how, part of that, it's like, he doesn't fathom it. And then it's like, but then it has less of an impact on the plot as well. Like, do you get what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of like a weird...
It has an impact on the audience and the audience's perception of Forrest. Yes. But it doesn't really impact him, which is interesting. Yeah. He's just truly doing what he thinks is best for humanity at this point. He's doing what he thinks is best for his friends, for his family, for Bubba, for his mother, and for Jenny, ultimately. But... yeah, I forgot how heavy this movie is.
Yeah, and they're able to kind of like disguise that with innocent point of view as he moves throughout the world.
Right.
I thought Robin Wright was really great in this, actually.
She's incredible, and I think that the last time I watched it, I wasn't watching for her.
Yeah.
The last time I watched it all the way through was the first time I had seen it, so I was clearly paying more attention to Tom Hanks and to the movie and to the story, but Robin Wright really sells this role, and it's a very deeply dark, like secretly dark role. I don't think a lot of actors could have done to the same level.
Yeah, those moments where she kind of contemplates like killing herself and like steps out onto the balcony and things like that. Yeah, it's super, super heavy. And I think is interesting ways that they use like that time passage thing and compare the two people's journey through time, right? Like, do you let yourself be caught up in the moment that is happening, and like, do you feel and and what are the consequences of that versus what Forrest does. Do you believe in like yourself? Right. Yeah.
You just don't question yourself and your gut instinct. And Forrest is a great example of trusting your gut. I gotta say. He's rarely, I mean, the movie makes a point to kind of make him rarely wrong. In the point of view of the film, I think that we would disagree with him in certain respects. What was that you were saying off mic about co-opting Bubba Gump's shrimp company?
Oh yeah. I mean, it really feels like he takes a family legacy for himself in a way that's maybe not
I don't think he realizes it, but questionable. Something else to touch on about this pairing of films is the political element to both of them, the current events timeline that Forrest uses in a very real way to kind of ground the movie. I think in a way that this character is supposed to be very ordinary but very larger than life. And it uses the backdrop of everyday occurrences and history to pinpoint where Forrest is in his life. Whereas Superman constructs some geopolitical issues. It none of it is real. It feels real to us because of what we're living through, but it's not necessarily like they're not saying the real world, the real names of countries. They are not, even if the character who is the president or I don't know, dictator of the first, what is it called? Barovia? Barovia has some Putin energy. We're not gonna lie. He's in it for arms and for land and all of those things. It's not outright said, whereas in Forrest Gump they are straight up talking about like politicians that are assassinated and very topical conversation point.
You also got to think about the time too, where like the 90s were like an era where it felt, despite continuing conflicts in the Middle East, that like America felt largely at peace. That I feel like there was a time where they could look back on those things and like kind of self-interrogate it a little bit more, like that filmmakers could do that and that the culture at large would be a little bit more accepting of that.
Very true.
Whereas right now
it's a hot button issue if you choose to touch on any of it. Which James Gunn is inviting and is, I suppose, brave.
And I think, the movie even shows it, right? Like one thing comes out about Superman, no one questions it, and they all turn on him. They all cancel him, immediately. Like that moment when he does save the woman in the car, you had mentioned that earlier. Forgot to touch on that bit where when he manages to hold up the bridge and she drives out, she's crying with like escaping with her life. And there's like a moment that the movie could have like, they could have brought her back and she could have been like, I don't care what anyone says about Superman. He might be here to kill, but like he saved me. They don't need to spend time on that moment. There's something very so beautiful in her expression where you could project onto that. You're just like, oh wow, she realized that like whoever she thought this man was, she knows that he saved him, know, and there's something in that. It is interesting, like, another thing to compare the two is that, the amount of lives that Forrest is able to touch, whether it is physically or just like through his actions, right?
Yes. His impact is immense. And I mean, he's fighting in Vietnam. He saves the lives of his team, minus Bubba, rest in peace.
He helps what's the word? Break down or not break down, but encourage relations between America and China.
Yeah, somehow.
That
part's a little muddy to me.
Yeah, it is a little muddy. It seems more like a merchandising point.
A little bit. But yeah, I think that it's very interesting to kind of compare and contrast how these films handle real world events.
Yeah. And I think that, you brought up a great point too earlier about the tone, right? Like the tone of Superman balancing the optimism as well as like these kind of real things, but then also with Forrest Gump there is that dark undertone against something that is very, very saccharine otherwise, right?
Exactly.
And the movies do generally a decent job at balancing the two.
I agree. I think so. And I think that that's what makes this a very good tonal pairing.
Yeah.
I would suggest that if you're going to watch both of them in one go, maybe watch Forrest Gump first. I think Superman's a better like palate cleanser.
It's shorter.
It's oh my god. I forgot how long Forrest Gump
I know.
is. 2 hours and 22 minutes.
Yeah.
And this was in the 90s. This was an age when movies were not regularly 3 hours long. I mean, now we're kind of used to it. We're kind of used to going into a movie and like seeing 30 minutes of trailers and then watching a 3-hour movie and then like going to dinner afterwards and making a whole experience of it. But I feel like in the 90s, this was a tough ask.
Yeah, I mean, even when I saw it as 10, 15 years ago, I was just like, oh my God, this is like the longest thing I've ever seen.
Because you mentioned earlier the pacing. Yes. Yeah. The pacing of this movie is not the quick, zippy pace of Superman. Yeah. Something that I think is a credit to Superman, even though you noted correctly that it comes at the cost of some character development. Yeah. But I think in Forrest Gump, it is a character study, but I'd say we get too much character in Forrest Gump, I
mean, I think I'm surprised at the ways in like, he's like, and yeah, I happened to see the president, and like how most of them, like these moments are like played more for jokes and things like that, as opposed to real, like, there isn't like it's like, yeah, I guess, that's kind of the point of the movie. You can live, or one of the lessons of the movie, you can live such a great life, but the thing that matters most to you is having a family or things like that, right? And that is, and same with Superman, like you can be this God figure, but the thing that matters most is being a good person, right? It's the small thing against an epic scale,
right? And when you put it down to such a finite point like that, it makes me dislike the movies. I mean, just when you take that away from it and you put it so simply, I think it's easy to kind of roll your eyes at both of them, which I think is something that follows the Forrest Gump's legacy, is the kind of eye-rolly quality that comes with it in future generations. Like this is clearly a movie written for a certain audience of a certain age.
Gen X, right?
I would say boomers. I think this is like a boomer time machine. Yeah. But, it has Elvis in it. It has JFK assassination. Like these are all things that, far beyond our span, like I don't even 100%. Think my mother was alive for that.
Yeah, the Elvis thing must have been so funny at the time, right?
I know. Yeah. Just like that's how he learned to do the dance. And
God.
Okay.
It's kind of a woof,
It's because Forrest Gump had braces on his legs and was wiggling. I don't know.
Is it like better or worse than Elvis like co-opting like black musician songs? It's like almost
a
on
disabled
par.
Little boy. Oh my God. Actually, that character study really tracks. Do you think that they cut that out of the Baz Luhrmann Elvis?
Oh my God.
Do you think that Forrest was originally in the Baz Luhrmann Elvis?
Baz was sitting there just being like, well, we gotta, where's the scene where he learns from the little boy? That's part of it, right?
Would that have won Austin Butler the Oscar?
Oh yeah, 100%. He would have totally gone.
He would have ate that up.
Yeah,
but
like, hey, little brother, show me the moves,
Mama.
Oh, Mama, show me the moves.
Yeah, I would say that these two could be watched together, but you're going to need a break.
Yeah, you're going to need a break. And also, I mean, even just breaking, thinking about the movies in retrospect, it does feel like you're like, well, maybe you could have accomplished those goals 20% better, or I don't know.
Could have, but I think that looking back, I mean, Superman is very recent, but looking back on it in future years, I think that we're going to see that this was an even better pairing because there's both such movies of their time. Like this.
Oh, sure.
And I think that Superman, that is also part of their marketing push, their press junket, is that this is the Superman of today. Yeah. The Superman of right now. And I think that Forrest Gump really was like heroic to people in the 90s. Yeah. Because he was just, young man pulled up from the bootstraps kind of guy, didn't have the best of anything, but still managed to touch all these lives, to impact all of these world events, and to, find love and raise a son. And, I think that is a heroic thing at the time of release. And Superman, as all Supermans are looked at in retrospect, they are kind of beacons of their time period. Like Christopher Reeve fits his time period. Yeah. Henry Cavill fits his time period.
A time where we wanted things darker.
A kind of more cynical time for the world and movies. And now it's the opposite. It's a it's a moment where filmmakers are saying, okay, what do we need? Beacon of hope.
Yeah, I mean that it goes back to the line we were joking about, but in a sense it's true. It's just like it is kind of punk rock. It is punk rock and radical right now to be rock. Hopeful. Some other movies that I thought could have been interesting pairings with Superman. This one would not have flown with our or neither movie actually would have flown. But Top Gun Maverick.
Okay.
I think is another interesting one about a man who is also kind of at odds.
A great man who's at a crossroads.
Where he is in his life, does things on his own terms, is never really wrong in a sense, but it's more about his relationship to himself in that sense. And the score is very similar. I keep starting to sing the Superman score, and then I just end up singing the Top Gun Maverick score.
Oh my god.
And also Beautiful Brunettes.
Really? Why did you consider this?
Jennifer Connelly.
Oh, Beautiful Brunettes. I thought you meant that as a movie title. Like, I haven't heard of that movie. But yeah, you're right. Jennifer Connelly. Hot. Rachel Brosnahan. Incredible. Hot.
Yeah.
She's on the short, I promise, list of women I would leave my girlfriend for.
No, you can't say that.
No, we'll cut that. We'll cut it. But
is that one of those moments that we say we'll cut it, but we leave it in because it's funny?
I'm okay with it. I think she would be too. I considered for this before I saw it. I had pitched Forrest Gump to you, but I also pitched the first Sam Raimi Spider-Man.
Right. Yeah.
Because
it's gotten a lot of comparisons to Raimi Spider-Man too. This movie.
I thought it might be interesting to explore just because it is. I wasn't sure how much of an origin story we were going to get for Superman, but I knew that it was probably. This is likely going to set up a trilogy the way that Spider-Man movie did. And I thought that would be an interesting comparison is how do we set up the first in a trilogy kind of movie, especially superheroes, especially, Spider-Man, also an icon of the 2000s. We talked about it on an earlier pod. Toby is our Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think there was one more, but you considered Evan.
I had, I was also thinking, I was stuck on the kind of like man against the world thing, and I was like, where have I kind of seen that before? I wasn't quite finding it, but then I was like, oh, you could have just compared it to Kiwi Kwan's character and Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Oh my god.
There's also that, right? Like that kind of hope in the face of like a bleak world. But it's like the movie, that's just one aspect of obviously a movie that I love and has a lot of things,
big scale,
a lot of stuff.
Yes. It is also in its way a superhero movie.
That's true. Yeah.
It has superhero elements, and who better to save the day than Michelle Yeoh?
Yeah.
No one to me.
We also considered Amelie very briefly, like the kind of like we would have gone like super hope core with it.
A movie that I haven't seen, so that would have been new to me.
I think we definitely would have compared a lot of like the colors and things like the visual approach.
There's a lot of iconic visuals from Amelie that I've seen, but I have not seen the whole movie. So maybe we'll have to reconsider it someday so that I will be forced to watch it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, another thing we didn't talk about with the Forrest Gump and Superman though is the scores. Oh, sorry, the soundtrack, the needle drops. There's a ton of, because they're covering so much time in Forrest Gump too. Course. So I was like, oh, it's another interesting kind of like touch point there between the two. And what I'll say about both, too much in both movies. Too much.
That's gonna get clipped and it's gonna be used against you. Not the needle drop part, just calling both of these movies too much.
No, can't wait. But you need the context. You need the context.
Can't wait. Clip him.
All right. So what's up next? What's the next episode that we will be recording?
Evan, I'm so glad that you asked. Later this week, Evan and I will be watching Ari Aster's newest film, Eddington.
It will be the first Ari Aster movie I have ever watched.
What?
Name the Ari Aster movies.
Hereditary.
Nope.
Midsommar.
Nope.
Beau is Afraid.
Nope. The credibility of this podcast is dropping with every syllable. Riley off screen giving me a thumbs down.
I really am the film douchebag of this show. Like,
you said film sister, and it's true.
I am a film sister, but
I'm new to this world.
God, you're a film sister in training. I will get you there.
Actually, yeah. Even David Cornswell was so ashamed of me. He left. He flew away. It's pretty crazy.
You're right. He was out.
So I'm excited.
He's an Ari Aster stan.
Yeah. He's actually like, hey, cast me in the next one. It'll be called Alien.
That's original. But yes, we will be watching Eddington, and from what I've heard about Eddington, I've read very little of it because I want to keep it fresh, keep it a surprise, but I've heard it called the first truly modern Western. This is a film that explores pretty heavily from the trailers the COVID-19 pandemic. Mm-hmm. Not sure how that becomes Western other than it's set in New Mexico, but we're going to find out. And we are looking to pair it with a Western, are we not?
Yeah, I'm really excited. I mean, part of me is still voting for Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, even though I just recently rewatched the movie as recently as last year. But if this Western doesn't pay off, maybe we just revisit the end of Westerns.
The anti-Western. That's a whole other genre.
Yeah.
But Westerns are admittedly a huge blind spot for me in my film-going history. So likely that what we watch next week will be new to me, and that's very exciting.
Yeah. Where can the people find us? I butchered this last time, Gabby. So
you sure
please rescue me on this.
You really need to commit to this.
I need it in the script.
Okay, I'll put it in the script for you next time. Spoon feed it to you. But you can find us on Instagram at Back to the Feature Pod. You can find us on Letterboxd at Back to the Pod. You can follow us on YouTube at Back to the Feature. And you can email us if you want to yell at us or tell us that we chose the wrong movie or suggest a future pairing. You can email us at backtothefeaturepod@gmail.com.
This episode's couch creature, if you are only listening to audio, was a super creature itself. It was Pikachu. He's pretty super. Yeah, he's pretty super to me.
This is how it goes when you make a podcast with all boys.
Hell yeah.
Fuck yeah. Pikachu, are you a film sister?
Oh yeah.
We're gonna cut that.
Thank you everybody so much for watching. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Riley. We'll catch you next time.
Bye.
What a shot.
Whoa.
Wait. Direct me? How can I go this way?
A little more towards Riley. Yep, there you go. There's him. Look at that beacon of hope.
Back to the Feature is created and produced by Evan Yee and Gabby Ruiz. Our technical producers this episode were Matt Prince and Riley Oskelis. This episode was edited by Evan Yee. Original music by Austin Yee. You can follow the podcast on Letterboxd at Back to the Pod and on Instagram at Back to the Feature Pod. Have a movie pairing you think would be fun for us to watch? Email us at backtothefeaturepod@gmail.com. Thanks for listening. See you soon.